What's up, everybody? It's Goodnight Punk here. I talked about this on the podcast last week, and a lot of you expressed interest in it. It's a pretty cool thing, actually, but it's a way that me and my Alts Guild, which has 132 million galactic power, was able to get 15 stars in Geo Territory Battles. Now, to put that in perspective, the TB before we started using this strategy, we were only able to get 10 by going through phase by phase all the way to phase 4 and not really thinking about what we were doing with our galactic power. So the idea here is that you focus on certain areas in the map and don't worry about advancing other areas until you're ready to move to that section. That way you can focus all your GP in certain areas and make sure that they work together to get the most out of the lower areas of the map and avoid the higher areas where lower GP guilds are going to have a harder time getting stars anyway, and really just maximizing all your stars in the lower part of the arena. So how do you do that? Up on your screen I've shown a little graphic of what the plan was for us going through, and basically there's 4 days, 36 hours per phase, so 4 phases really, but I've listed them as days here. Day 1, you're focusing on 3-starring the bottom in phase 1. That's only going to take you 104,190,000 to get to 3 stars, and for a 132 million GP guild like ours, that was fairly simple to do day 1, and the best way you can use the rest of your GP after you've filled out that 3 stars on the bottom is to move to the top and begin pouring GP into that with missions. But the biggest thing, if you do that and move to the top territory on day 1, you do not want to 1-star it at all costs. You can get as close as you can, but as a guild leader, you're probably going to want to close that off to deployments and CMs when you get in within like 5 million of that 1 star in the top, because if you do go past 1 star in the top, that's going to close off the top, so you won't be able to use the top anymore and it'll move on to the next section. So basically you want to 3-star the bottom phase 1 and get as close to 1 star at the top as you can without getting 1 star. That way you're set up for the next day, which is day 2, where you're going to 3-star the top in phase 1. So what you're going to do then on the second day is move to that top one and 3-star that. It takes 109,530,000. Not a whole lot. Will be easy, and you're going to have leftovers. So you're going to move on to your day 3 strat, but do the same thing you did on day 1, where you get as close to 1 star on the bottom as you can and then stop. Stop everything. Doesn't matter if you have leftover GP. Doesn't matter. It's better for you to stop at the 1 star than to get 1 star in the bottom on the second slice and have to move to the third slice. So day 2, 3-star the top. Work at the bottom for getting it close to 1 star, but stop before you get to 1 star. Day 3, you're going to 3-star that bottom that you got close to 1 star, and then you're going to 3-star the top phase of phase 2, which means you're going to 3-star the ships and 3-star the bottom in slice 2. And once again, if you have extra GP, you can start moving into the middle of the second slice and working that towards 1 star. Don't get it to 1 star because you're not going to 3-star it on day 3. Stop when it gets near 1 star and wait for day 4. On day 4, you're going to 3-star that middle phase and work on the top of phase 3 for ships to try to get 3 stars there. You can see all the GP numbers up there on your screen, what you're going to need to get them. You might see that some of these are much higher than your guild GP is, but remember, you're doing CMs to get your extra GP into these areas. So once again, day 1, 3-star the bottom phase 1, then move up on day 2 to 3-star the top phase 1. Day 3, 3-star bottom phase 2, and 3-star the ships on phase 2. Day 4, 3-star middle phase 2, and then work on ships for phase 3. Pretty simple. A lot of stars you can get that way. Much easier as far as the missions go and the amount of platooning you have to do. So it's a much easier strategy than what we were doing before, where we just got 1 star in areas close to the second, and then it was closed off and we had to move to the harder CMs, which for a lower guild can end up being really hard to get through. So yeah, that's pretty much the strategy. It's not that hard to figure out once you really get the idea and someone's put it into your brain. There's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. You just got to pick the right one for you guys, but this is a way to make it so that you can focus on those earlier slices and get the most stars out of those without having to move into those late slices and get harder missions, less stars. So this will maximize the stars for your guild. If you have a lower GP guild, we've done it once. I won't say it's foolproof, but so far we saw a 5-star improvement in 1 TB, with a few places where we left off some stars that we can actually still get going into the next one. Now, platoons is a question that I'm sure a lot of people will have. Really just focus on getting the platoons done for the section that you're starring that day or the next day, and worry about those. Not so much the ones for sections you're probably not even going to get to, because some of these you're going to have platoons open on the day that you're the next day on a new phase, and those platoons might not even help you on missions you're going to end up doing. So just keep good track of the harder to fill platoons and make sure you get those for the ones you're actually going to do, and that should help you to really maximize all those stars that you are going for. And I don't know, man, blew me away when they came up with this. So really big shout out to the Future of the Order officers for coming up with this. It worked to the T, and I'm really hoping that for some of the other guilds out there that have moved on past Hoth and are trying to do better in GOTB, that this helps them get more stars and better rewards moving forward, because those better rewards are going to help your characters and you can get more stars as you go on, and it'll just make the entire thing much more easier for you. One last strategy that you can implement that's different than our plan is the Watt mission. If you're looking to get Watt shards specifically out of this TB, you might want to switch up day 3 and not 3-star the bottom and 3-star the top instead, because you're going to need to open that middle section to get to the phase 3 Watt mission. So taking out the 3-star bottom on day 3 and adding middle, you're going to bump it up about 40 million GP you need on that 3rd day. But if you're doing your combat missions, you should be totally fine to be able to get through that. So you'll be able to get through that and move on to the Watt mission, and then you can probably 3-star the bottom on day 4 instead of on day 3. And you can do the Watt mission without worrying about stars in that middle phase 3 section. So I would just focus on that Watt mission in phase 3 and not that actual slice and that section, but focus on the 3-starring that bottom on day 4 if you do middle on day 3. That way you can get your Watt shards, and you can also continue to 3-star a section that needs less galactic power. So yeah, that's pretty much the strategy for this. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comments. I'd love to get back to you guys and answer your questions. But as far as I've seen for the lower end of the spectrum of GP that they recommend for this is a great strategy to get more stars. I mean, we got almost 15 out of 33. You're almost halfway through the stars that way. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'd like to thank Elon Mustard and Thay from our Alliance, the Order, for providing me these videos to put in with this video to keep track of everything that's going on. So appreciate you guys. Thanks to Future of the Order and your officers for coming up with this, and I hope that this helps some of you guys. As usual, we'll see you next time.